Continuing on our sneaky updates to the Dragon Plus 38 issue, we have a whole bunch of stuff about Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Now, we had, I believe, an article about it originally, but I remember reading it, and I don't think there was as much interesting stuff here as there is now. So we're going to go ahead and take a look, and even if I read this before, I'm going to cover it again because I realize that there's new stuff we haven't learned from the weekend and time dealing with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel and turned your notification bell on, I highly suggest you do so, as I do cover news pretty much as fast as I'm able to find it. So here we are. I'll put a link in the description to this Dragon Plus article. But if we scroll down, this talks a lot about, it's an interview basically with Chris Perkins talking about Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And what I thought was interesting is Chris has been wanting to make a book, then an adventure that highlights the Feywild since 4th edition. And essentially he's been sitting on this idea for 11 years. So that's great. You know, Chris has obviously been working on this for a while, so hopefully that shines through in the final product. And Chris, you know, is pretty damn good at designing adventures, at least from what I've seen and from his DMing through Dice Camera Action and, you know, Acquisitions Incorporated. So the only thing I would say is if you've been working on this for 11 years, I'd be very curious from Chris's perspective, does this hold up to the hype that you've had in your mind when building this for 11 years? He even went on to say he was trying to pitch it in a variety of ways, hoping to maybe pitch it to Larian Studios to do for Baldur's Gate 3, but they ended up doing sort of the Spelljammer tied into Descent into Avernus. So he basically went back to it, and here we are again. So he said a more traditional story hook, which Chris calls the Warlock's Quest, is available, with characters helping someone in return for a reward. But the Lost Things story hook uses the idea, and this is pretty interesting, that when the characters visited the Witchlight Carnival as children, something was taken from them. When the traveling show returns, they see this as their chance to get that lost item back. What they lost might be something immaterial, like their artistic creativity, or it could be something tangible, like a beloved toy. They can either roll randomly to determine what they lost or choose it at character creation. Also, I thought this was interesting. This is the map that we were showed of the carnival. If you notice this right down here on the bottom, this is the entrance to the Dungeons and Dragons ride that the kids get lost in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. This is basically the mouth entrance to the ride that they go in, and then they never return as they're trapped in the world of Dungeons and Dragons per the cartoon, which I thought that was an interesting little Easter egg there. So apparently he was talking with Patrick Rothfuss back in 2017, and basically that led to the discussion of the Witchlight Carnival and what it is. A Fae-themed carnival that serves as a gateway to take you to the Feywild. And then it says, time is another important thing. We've heard about this, but there are 3 hags of the Hourglass Coven that are at the heart of the story, and they each have their own kingdom. Hither, Tither, and Yon. Thither and Yon, I guess, if you look at it. Hither, but I think that's pronounced Tither. Different manifestations of time. Each hag exerts its own power over the realm, and whether they're displeased, the realm is displeased, and things can go awry. So the eldest sister is Skabatha, also known as Granny Nightshade, is a recluse who lives mostly in the past. Her dwelling is an ancient forest. She passes the time by making toys for her children and is part toy herself. Woe betides adventurers if the wind-up key sticking out of her back runs down. Bavlorna Blightstraw, also known as Slack-Jawed Lorna, is a toad-like hag who embodies the present. She can create miniature manifestations of herself which run around her and perform odd tasks. She exists in the here and now and doesn't dwell in the past or pay much mind to the future. She lives in the swamp settlement of Downfall among a court of bullywugs. And the third hag is Endalyn Moongrave, also known as Bitter End. I adore her art, Chris says, and her story is fantastic. Endalyn is a prognosticator who can see the future. She lives in a mountaintop theater where she has plays performed for her amusement. But she also wears a dress that can double as a theater contraption so she can perform plays telling the future of those she meets. Talks about the incredible art here. One of the key things, and this is something we've heard already, but I'll just reiterate it again, is that characters, if they're clever and paying attention, can complete the entire storyline without ever engaging in combat. And in order to pull that off, of course, we have to see the adventure with a bunch of characters like Sir Talavar and Jingle Jangle. Sir Talavar, a favorite of mine, is a knightly and gallant fairy dragon, while Jingle Jangle is a goblin key collector who wears a coat of keys. What I like about Jingle Jangle is she's very representative of hobgoblins in the Feywild in that they're complex creatures. She's also kind and helpful, and in the course of the story she reminds the characters that the Feywild is worth saving. Folklore and classic fairy tales they're involved here. The way it says, the way Waterdeep Dragon Heist used the urchins to show that, there's aspects of the city even down to the children. There is a group of children in the Wild Beyond the Witchlight called the Getaway Gang. They live in a treehouse built into the boughs of a treant, and they're fun because they're resourceful and can be immensely helpful to the party, as they might have some unconventional solutions that adults might not think of. We've seen Star here. Here's the treant here, and here's the kids. It's kind of like the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. And here is Star. We've heard of Star before. Star, who was an attraction at the Witchlight Carnival and accidentally found its way into the Feywild and is now lost there, lives with this group of runaway children. The Displacer Beast kitten has the potential to win over a lot of D&D fans because she's just so darn adorable and makes a cute companion. He also says it draws upon the rich history of D&D. Part of it might be, like we said, we saw the cartoon entrance in the map there. They reference that there's a ton of Easter eggs over the 45 years of D&D, one of them being Thaco the Clown, referencing, obviously, 2-hit armor class of 0 from older editions, which I don't know if that's going to be received as a funny joke or people are going to get up in arms about it, but it is what it is. They also bring back the Jabberwock, which, if you're familiar with the concept of a Jabberwock or a Jabberwocky, has a lot of presence in Alice in Wonderland. So that's a creature that I know exists, and they usually have one traditional style art, and I even have a mini of it from a Pathfinder set, but I guess they're bringing it back. It first appeared in the 2nd edition Monster Compendium, and that's what they're using to revise it to bring it into 5e. And then probably one of the most interesting things is this last bit. We're also planning to create something similar to the Turtle package, which we released on the DM's Guild to coincide with Tomb of Annihilation. This will be inspirational material that's completely standalone and will explain how to create your own Archfey and their Feywild domains. Once you've had a taste of what we've created in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, you can go off and create your own. So we don't have any further information on that. Now, what I do think is interesting is the Turtle package was a full adventure, provided us a bunch of stuff that also gave us a whole brand new race, the Turtle. So we had heard that the Feywild Hobgoblin was dropped from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight book, but it was being play tested for use in something else in the future. Now, this could be something we're going to get in 2022, but this also could be whatever this DM's Guild release is that this is going to be referencing, similar to the Turtle package. And that's what I would warrant. You're going to give us information about how to create your own Archfey and Feywild domains and then slip in this, because again, that might do well on the DM's Guild, but as we've seen as a general rule, player-related content vastly outsells DM-related content. So if you're able to bake player content into your DM book, it'll sell better. Same thing we're seeing with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. While it's an amazing DM resource and DMs everywhere will love it, having player-based content in there like subclasses and races will make the players go out and want to pick it up as well, therefore potentially doubling your sales in some aspects. Or maybe not doubling, but you get my point, right? If it was a book for only DMs, that shuts off the larger part of the player, of the fan base of D&D. So if you can make it applicable and players and DMs would both want to pick it up, you get more sales out of it. So that might be what they do with this, whatever we're going to get DM's Guild release. So be on the lookout for that at some point. It's been kind of hush-hush at the moment, other than just being dropped casually in this article. So I imagine it's July now, so sometime as we get closer to September, that will release. I don't know if it'll be a same-day release, a little bit before, a little bit after. I think the Turtle package released a little before Tomb of Annihilation, but I don't really remember off the top of my head. So what we'll have to do is wait, and obviously, again, I'll do full coverage of that when that releases. The Turtle package released on September 15th, 2017. So yeah, that actually is right around the same time as Tomb of Annihilation. So maybe it was pretty close to actual launch date. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned here to the channel, as I will be coming back as there is another update to Strixhaven. We'll cover that in a third news video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.